Craving your next action-packed adventure? Audible delivers thrills of every kind on your command, like Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, where a lone astronaut must save humanity from extinction, narrated with stunning intensity by Ray Porter. From electrifying suspense and daring quest to spine-tingling horror and romance in far-off realms, unleash your adventurous side with gripping titles that'll keep you guessing. Discover exclusive Audible originals, hotly anticipated new releases, and must-listen bestsellers that hook you from the first minute. Because Audible knows there's no greater thrill than the one that speaks to you. Discover what lies beyond the edge of your seat. Start your free 30-day trial at audible.com/WonderyUS. That's audible.com/WonderyUS.
Culture evolves at the speed of light, just like your financial needs. When it comes to your money, Credit Karma keeps you in the know and ahead of the game. You can count on Credit Karma to keep up with your financial needs as they evolve. We'll help you monitor your progress and give personalized recommendations so you can make strides towards your goals and find your way to money. Make sure you're on the right track, no matter where you are on your financial journey. Intuit Credit Karma. Karma you can count on.
You're listening to 100 Words or Less with Ray Harkins.
Welcome, everybody, to the podcast in which we are talking independent music, punk, hardcore, indie rock, emo, metal, all of those things. Whatever route you take, it all leads you back to the same place, which is small, sweaty rooms, DIY spaces, and just learning from all of those things that we fail miserably at for a long time and then maybe get a little bit better. This person I am thrilled to welcome on the podcast again. He is George Hirsch. He is the vocalist for Blacklisted, but he just put out a new LP with his band, his new band. Well, I guess, I don't know, newish we'll call it, Staticlone, which they just put out an LP on Relapse Records, and it's exceptional. If you like the whole sort of rock and roll, hardcore combo, you will love this record. And like, they never really intended to be a band per se, like, you know, maybe play some shows here and there. But the fact that Relapse was like, we have to release this. We're going to release this. And yeah, we're all benefiting from it. Because I truthfully, like, they released a few flexies through 6 Feet Under, and I thought they were, you know, okay. They were cool. It just didn't really give me a lot to sink my teeth into. And then once they put this stuff out, I was like, oh my gosh, like, I get it. I get where everything's coming from. So George is an incredibly open and honest conversationalist. And I just really like having these conversations with him. I did an episode back with him in 2016. And for regular listeners of the show, they understand that, I don't really repeat guests because I try to have that as the document of the human being. But when people have continued to create and continue to push boundaries, I want to have them back on to be able to speak about those new things. So that's exactly what George ended up in. And I was like, let's do this again. So great to Let's talk some business of the podcast. You can always email the show 100wordsorless@gmail.com. Or actually, no, sorry, 100wordspodcast@gmail.com. That is the right address. There's always a link in the show notes to where you can just, fire off some ideas, thoughts, sharing your band's music or whatever the case may be. That line is always open. You can also, if you want to support the show for $0, but it will help the show get caught in the algorithm, so to speak, that is leaving a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or just leaving a rating on Spotify. And I know those of you that listen to this on a weekly basis hear me say that all the time, but there is a reason that exists. And please do it. Just take 30 seconds and that's it. So weekly recommendations. Let's talk about a record that I personally have enjoyed recently. I compile all these things into a playlist. If you hit the show notes, you'll be able to find a link that takes you to a Spotify playlist. And I've been doing these weekly recommendations for the better part of a year now. So it's really fun for me to put records out there and make sure that, you listen to them or you have a chance to listen to them. So hit that link in order to listen to all of the past recommendations. But the record this week is the band Downward from, I'm fairly certain is from Oklahoma City. I realize I probably should have looked that up beforehand, but amazing bummer rock. Like just very, they sit in the shoegaze, waiting room, so to speak, where they have this element that it's Failure-esque as well, where it's like it's very plodding, very rhythmic, and I love the band. I actually saw them, gosh, maybe this was like 5-6 years ago. I can't remember exactly when, but they played a program here in Southern California, and I thought they were great. And it's exciting when a band surprise drops an LP. They're currently on tour with that band Movements. This record came out on New Morality Zine, and Nick is a longtime supporter of this show, and anytime I can shine light on the stuff that he is doing, I am always down. So the band is Downward. The record is just a self-titled record, but it's a crushing one. I really, really enjoy it. So good job, Downward. Let's also talk about the fact that played some shows this weekend, and they were amazing. It feels so interesting to, start new projects, and whether it's, a band, a podcast, a zine, whatever it is, and you're used to either collaborating with a certain group of people, like when we were playing the shows this past weekend with my new band called Blood Guilt. We're releasing an EP in early April on New Age Records. We had the vinyl early, so it was very exciting for people to purchase that and be like, that's awesome. Thank you. But in playing with new people, you have to always feel each other out. But the people that I'm playing with, they are older than me, and they've been playing in bands for so many years. And so our first show, it felt so comfortable, and it was awesome. But there were definitely times where I looked back at the guys I was playing with, who are my friends, but we don't have decades of shared history. And so it was very interesting to be like, who are these guys? What's happening? Because obviously all the other bands that I've done, toured with and spent a lot of time with, but this is a shortened version of that same thing. But anyways, shout out to the bands Barbarians of California and Mad Peaceful, which we played with on Saturday the 8th up in Los Angeles, and then Lock Slip and Darasum at Program on Sunday, March 9th. Both of those shows were just super fun. And it was a great juxtaposition of like a professional run club by Live Nation and then like us literally putting on the show Program. It's great. And it feels awesome to be not only doing this still, but having people that we've known for many, many years supporting us, people who've never heard us being like, hey, I like what you got going on. It's like, this is just, it's very gratifying. So kids, word of advice, start a band, just, or start something, because it's really, really fun, as dumb and simple as that sounds. But anyways, let's talk to George Hirsch. Like I said, his band Staticlone just released a new record on Relapse. It's on the streaming platforms. I got my copy in the mail. It's called Better Living Through Static Vision. The LP is beautiful, by the way. So highly recommend you not only listening to it, but purchasing it. And then if they happen to be playing a show, you should catch it, because this is not, a band that is going to be on the road, 150 days out of the year. They are playing select shows here and there, and it's exciting when you're able to do that. So let's talk to George right now.
So yeah, like I mentioned, I was like, on my drive to work this morning, I was like, I'm going to listen to what George and I said 8 years ago to see if we sound even remotely smart or just sound like idiots like we probably did. But what I was in re-listening to that discussion, I was by the or what I appreciated about that discussion, how your ability to take ownership over your music in regards to the fact that like once you put it out there, like it's not yours. I know a lot of people like in bands say that, but it seems like you're always like looking at what's next to be like, all right, that's in the rear view. It's not mine anymore. Um, do you feel like that's like, not only is that still accurate, but do you feel like that's a proper representation of the way that you look at the music you put out there?
Yeah, man. I mean, like I just told you, I'm recording a whole other LP for a different band. Like right now, I just finished it today. I don't, yeah, not in like a negative way either. Like I don't look back on anything and I'm like, have ill in feelings towards it. It's just, yeah, I'm a musician and I make music and then that's it. So the only way to go is forward. And I'm not saying that in a way of like, I'm trying to change or develop. You know what I mean? It's just, I write songs, I play guitar, I sing. What way is there to go but forward? You know what I mean? Yeah, this is, yeah, it's weird. Someone else mentioned something like that to me recently. Wow, you're working on something else. And I'm like, I was working on it all at the same time. It's just this got recorded and then like the Staticlone LP has been recorded for over a year and a half or something like that. So I actually slowed up and didn't really push the other things, or I would have had another Staticlone LP written if I could schedule practice with those guys and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I'm always just trying to go forward and make as much as music as possible because there's a limited time on this earth.
Yeah, it's true. And not everybody, like I said, kind of either puts that in practice where it's like, I think like the way that you've obviously put out a lot of music under different names, different whatever, but obviously it's all you. Like not everybody is willing to, be like, all right, here's my like neutral hotel vibe or whatever. Like not everybody's willing to
Yeah,
express themselves like that, but you are.
yeah, yeah. You know what? And in that case, it's just uh like I love acoustic guitar, so I make music with an acoustic guitar sometimes, and then I love electric guitar. A lot of it is if I could. Sometimes it works. I'll write something on acoustic guitar, and I can make it an electric guitar song, but not always. So it's like compartmentalizing different things. But to me, I write music every day, so people don't even hear a third of what I write. And for me personally, but and then a lot of it is it it depends. Like when I do Harmwolf, that's just me,
Y-
and other people play on it, but that's me. Like the other stuff's more band oriented. I'm not like I write the guitar and vocals, and that's well, not in Blacklisted I didn't, but for everything after that, I write the guitar and the vocals and all that. But in Staticlone, Jeff writes the drum parts and he composes the songs with me to like flesh them out. Even though I write it, singer songwriter, he's just as important as me. And same with Dave, playing bass and the other bands. Like, yeah, it's a band. A band is a
Mhm.
band is a
Yeah,
band.
totally. Totally. And speaking of that, like now that you've had a lot of different experiences in playing in different projects, but then also playing in different projects, same people, do you feel like it's easier to approach things differently with the same people, or is it easier where you have to have kind of like an injection of someone new to offer a different perspective?
Hmm. Um, no, I think that it's it's not a struggle, but it's it's always new, even with people that I've made music with before. Like it's always different. I mean, it's always different, like with Staticlone, it's like I don't really know Jeff that well, like as much as I know Dave or as much as I know John from who's in Blacklisted and I play music with otherwise. Like so it's definitely a learning process, and yeah, it's just man, it's just about the song. You know what I mean? Writing the song. It's not really. It could be a complete stranger, and if it's coming together the way I feel like it should come together, that's I don't really think about it as far as knowing the people or whatever.
Even though you're playing with the same people, there is a different vibe regardless because of just the different circumstances or life experiences or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, and just for me, like I said, I write everything singer songwriter style, so I could bring a song and it could be fully complete, or we can work on the arrangement. And with Staticlone, there was a lot of working on the arrangement. So and it was cool because I don't really know Jeff the way I know the people I play with in Blacklisted and stuff like that, so it was different, but to me, it's all the same. If I play guitar and sing on it, the writing process is pretty much the same, not,
Yeah.
I'm willing to change anything. I've never been a person that is like stubborn and won't change something if someone has a better idea, not even if it's a better idea, just an idea, period. I want everybody to collectively be able to work on it. I'm not like the maestro, you know what I mean? I'm very limited at what I can do.
Right. And I think that's important to recognize, especially, I mean, I know within the context of punk and hardcore, it's real easy to be kind of like, oh, I'm not good at anything. So like, I can't even like express myself appropriately. And then all you do is find other people to help you get whatever it is that you need out of your head or out of your fingers if you can't play it.
No, no, I'm definitely good at it. I don't think I'm not good at it. I think the thing is I think everybody I play music with, whether I know them well or not, they know my strength and I can quickly identify theirs. And we work off strengths. It's not really about who's not good at it or I need to bring people in to make me better at it. It's a collective of, we know the strengths. Like my strengths are mine, and I'm not egotistical enough to talk about them. But as far as Jeff goes, Jeff's strength is structuring a song for Staticlone, helping with that. And Dave's strength is really working off my strengths because we've made a lot of music together. And so I can identify, he has his own strengths as well, but that's a big one is, me, and where you could bring something that I write and make it better. And, like I said, a lot of Jeff's strengths are composing as far as a full structured thing goes. And he's not he wouldn't hold back on if something wasn't good, or whatever. He would say, this doesn't work. Like there's the song that came out yesterday, Alone in Philadelphia. The initial stuff I had for that, the riffs and stuff, they danced a little hair metal-y on it in the beginning, and he quickly was like, dude, and we changed it right there on the spot, and it was an easy change, but I'm not saying I don't still prefer the other version, but I was willing to work,
Totally. You're like, I see what you're coming from.
Yeah, I mean, I was listening to the first Wasp LP every day when I wrote that song at work. So definitely I was a real prisoner to my listening at that point. But I mean, for me, songwriting is just how can we amplify what all of us are best at? I think that's why any band I do, I usually write the lyrics for and stuff. I mean, because I'm probably best suited for that, or that's what people know me for, or et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I mean, yeah.
You've something else that you've expressed in a few different places, that that feeling of being like, oh yeah, like I'm the recluse in the basement making music. Even if that is the case, which obviously like you do, like you said, you record a bunch of music in secret, like this is never going to come out or whatever, but you do feel the pull to play shows or like publicly release something, like obviously what you're doing with Relapse and Staticlone. Is it comfortable for you to kind of like step back into it, even if you have been, just, in the lab for the past 2 years and no one's going to hear that stuff?
I mean, for me, to be honest, the last almost 8 years, I just record on my own and release it online and stuff. And then Staticlone was kind of where I wanted to play in a band again. To me, I hate to be like the person that's like, I only know how to do one thing. Obviously I can have a job and I can be a partner and I can, go to the grocery store. I'm not like helpless, but I really only know how to make music. Like at least when I wake up, I the other stuff is just life. But what I know how to do, or and it just is what it is. But it's easy. I mean, I'm in my early 40s, and I've been making music and putting it out on labels since I just had this conversation today, since I was like 17. So we're talking what 20 years of doing it. So it just is what it is. The weird
Mhm.
thing, or they're not the weird, but the cool thing is to be able to, at this point in my life, have a new label introduced, like Relapse, that I've never worked with before. And I didn't know those guys, you know what I mean? So to be able to make something and catch the ear of, that felt like an accomplishment. Like, oh, okay, this isn't just like, I have a long standing relationship with these people. Of course they'll release something that I put out, or no one could say that, because we didn't have a relationship with those guys, and now we do, and it's all.
Yeah. No, it is exciting because yes, there is that level of trust that you establish with people that are carte blanche going to like release your stuff, release your art, whatever it is. But when you do have a person on the outside kind of chime, like, this is interesting. You mess with my stuff? Like, cool. Like, let's have fun.
Yeah, and and early on with Staticlone, with the flexies and stuff, like it didn't, like, people weren't checking it out or whatever, but we weren't. At least I wasn't trying to make that known. You know what I mean? It was just, I just want to make this, and that's it. I don't, because to be honest, I don't. I only care about writing and recording songs. I hate to be. I definitely at this point in my life wish that when I was younger, I maybe took music more serious in a way where it benefited me later on. But I always had the same exact feeling I have now. It never changed, never swayed. I care about writing and recording, and whatever happens after that, whatever. I don't care. I never even wanted to be the guy that was doing interviews. It just falls on me, and I'm the most. I'm the one that answers emails. I don't let stuff fall away. I don't hold stuff off. Like, I'm gonna meet. If you email me, I'm gonna answer within an hour. If you like took, say for you, if you didn't have to go through our publicist and you messaged me, if you took the time to write that to ask me to do an interview, I'm at least gonna respond no. I'm not gonna just let you die. And like, I'm just not that type of person. Like, if you have to take the time to message me, I'm going to message you back. That's why I don't do any social media. Because when I did have social media, if people messaged me, I was always writing them back, and people are like, "Why are you writing back to stranger?" I'm like, "God, they took the time. I don't know, you know."
Right. I'm
But
responsible. Yeah.
yeah, well, sometimes it's come back and bit me. Like, I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't respond to you, like, But yeah, I don't know. It's just, this is just what I know how to do.
Right.
If Relapse or any label I've done before came to me tomorrow and were like, "Hey, do you want to sign a contract for 3 records and whatever?" I could get that done in a year. I could write 3 records in 6 months. And because it's just, not only is it what I know how to do, it's what I like to do. So I don't,
Right.
a lot of people, the whole cycle of 1 record every 2 years, that type of cycle. I'm like, seems crazy. You write songs, just write them.
I just recently played some shows with my new band called Blood Guilt. Selfish promo there. But what I spend a lot of time thinking about is the shirt I'm going to wear on stage. And I know that sounds a little surface level. It is. I totally understand that. But it is a calling card, not only for your own music taste, but the ability to maybe have a person in the crowd look at the shirt and be like, "Oh, I've never listened to that band. Like, it must be worthwhile for this person to wear it on stage." Maybe I'm putting too much thought into it. But what the point I am trying to make, evilgreed.net, they are an incredible sponsor of this show, and they are an amazing purveyor of band merch, vinyl, anything you want from a particular set of bands. And that is the cool, artistic, heavy stuff that I like to feature on the show quite often. And that is why Evil Greed has partnered with the show for so long, is because we are simpatico. They are based out of Berlin, Germany, but if you go to their website and you check out their shipping rates, you're like, dude, this is not expensive at all. And that's the truth. They ship to the US all day long, and they have exclusive vinyl colors for some of your favorite releases. And they work with bands of all shapes and sizes. But like I said, it is a specific point of view. So, if you like your punk and hardcore, that's, technical and more metal leaning, or if you just like your straightforward hardcore, like a band like Speed, they have stores for all of those bands. It's a great place for you to go shopping. So go to evilgreed.net, poke around, and I promise you will love what they have.
Today, the beverage aisle looks a lot different than it used to. America's beverage companies are working together. We're delivering the options everyone wants. In fact, nearly 60% of beverages Americans buy have zero sugar. You'll find more variety than ever, including more of your favorites, now available with zero sugar. You'll also find more sizes and clear calorie information on the front of every can, bottle, and pack. We know when it comes to finding balance, the more choices, the better.
Well, that's a trapping of the music industry as opposed to how, artists, like, they should do what they want when they want, as opposed to being a part of the business of music or whatever. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and it feels weird to be like, I'm an artist, but I mean, I'd put out 10 records a year if I had the means, or obviously I can record myself and I could do that, but I like playing in a band. I'm not really, I could do my stuff on my own, and I have, but there is a thing that I like about being in the studio with the band and hearing people's input. And, I like input. I like when people say, this sucks. I'm yeah, give me your opinion. I
Sure.
didn't write this for you to be like, this is amazing. Tell me, so
Yeah.
I like being in the band.
Absolutely. And kind of on that tip too, just the idea of, I mean, like you said, like, I don't know if you still work in construction or if you are a hard laborer, as it were, but just that separation of, experiencing life and then being able to create art from life. Because as you well know, like, when you just go on tour for 10 months out of the year, and then it's like, all right, write a new record. And you're just like, what am I going to write about? Like the freeway? Like,
Yeah, true. But you know what? Like, people that sit around and they say, touring's so hard and all that stuff, man, I would take that any day, because I do work a labor job, and sometimes my hands, I can't play guitar. You know what I mean? If I just toured and I could play guitar. For me, I could find something to write about, though. I wouldn't be hard pressed for that. I'd gladly trade. But yeah,
got it.
yeah, like, some people maybe suffer from that, but that's just their imagination.
Right,
They
exactly.
they need a better imagination.
Yeah, you're like, yo, I got like 4,000 records up here, dog. That's all I got.
Like, I don't know. People are babies. I'm a baby too, but
Yeah, of course. We're all babies in different ways. Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
The something else, like, again, referencing just other things that I've seen you say that have resonated with me, where it's like the just us mentality of where it's like, when you are in a band and you are kind of, swashbuckling around the country, and you've said the idea of like how that then translates, into the real world, where it's like, all right, now I'm like not just us, but now I'm like integrating with, Susan or whatever, and like, how do I find commonalities with her, and, trying to find a comfortable standard or whatever. Does it, for you, because you obviously look at your life through music first and everything else second, is it easy for you to kind of like compartmentalize these things, where it's like, all right, I'm working construction because all I care about is obviously this will give me the means to be able to pursue the art?
Well, I mean, I worked construction because I played music and I didn't go to college. I dropped out of college and stuff like that, and I never went back. But and it's in my family. My family did it, and I do it, and I mean, I would, believe me, I would pursue other job if it came about. I don't know. What are you asking? Say it again. So
It's not a problem. The compartmentalization aspect being like, all right, here's like my art life, band life, everything, and like here's my work life. Is it easy for you to kind of like, code switch and go back and forth where it's like, all right, here's the George at work versus the George at at home, so to speak?
my brain works songwriting 24 hours a day, whether I'm not working or not. That doesn't matter. I'll tell you what, from touring, right? When I stopped touring, working became difficult in the way of if people are late for work and stuff, and I have to wait for someone or something, my patience for people being late is not there at all. And I think that's because when you tour, you have to be somewhere at a time, and you have to and stuff like that. Like even today I had to be home about 5:25 so I could do this. Like I'm an on time person, and I think a lot of that is a credit to touring. But as far as songwriting goes, I mean, my brain just works songwriting. It doesn't. I don't compartmentalize. It's I work a labor job. I'm doing labor. I think about lyrics or songs, or you know what I mean. It just
Yeah.
I don't think I think most people that write songs, I would think are like that. Like if you write music, you just write it or think about it in a way about how you can execute it. Even if you're not thinking a melody or something, it's okay, I gotta book this rehearsal and ideas, and I don't think that ever shuts off.
Yeah, it's like there's definitely probably areas in which it's like, okay, like I need to focus on this, so like I'm not going to be thinking about this, but it's still taking up a portion of your brain.
Yeah, and for me, a lot of my songwriting is I also write lyrics. So maybe that is another reason why I'm so in tune with it all the time. If I was to just play guitar, I would be able to compartmentalize in a different way. But for me, it's like I'm a constant observer of what's going on because I stockpile uh the other stuff of songwriting as well, not just the guitar or bass or drums or whatever. The whole I stockpile the thing that really connects with people, because that's why I make music. In the end of the day, is to connect with people. I've always said that from the beginning.
hmm
So it's hard to work in a compartmentalized fashion because I'm a constant observer to filter. You know.
Absolutely. Um, I'm curious with because I know you lived in Chicago for what was it, like 8-9 years or so, and then you came back to Philly. How long have you been back in Philly?
About 2 years. But coming up on
Okay. Um, okay.
Yeah.
What brought you back to Philly, and what sent you to Chicago, so to speak?
the same thing, the same
Okay.
person, yeah. And then that brought me to Chicago, and I wanted to get away from here as well. Like Blacklisted was about to end. I think there was a little bit of time where I was in Chicago where we still did the band, but it was about to end, and I just wanted to get away. And then they got a job here, and it was between here or Boston, and here just made a little bit more sense. So I came
Tell-
back, and um, yeah.
How are you finding is Philly like slipping on an old shoe that's really comfortable, or is it one of those things where it's like, oh, the city has changed and I've changed along with it, or vice versa?
Yeah. Like I live outside the city.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, I think one of the biggest struggles is just like what I don't want to be the person I was when I was here. Not that it was some crazy thing, or there's no story behind it. It's just I moved to change, and I hope to continue to. And I've been really worried about kind of falling into the trappings of when I lived here. So that has been a weird thing, like being haunted by like your previous self and being like, get away. But um, it definitely changed here, man. It definitely is a different place, and um, I don't know if I don't think it's better. I don't think I would hate to romanticize like before, but it definitely, it, it's, it's not as, it's not as like homely as it was before. It seems more like big businessy, like there's all stuff being constant being built, and I don't want to say gentrification or whatever, but it's that type of thing. And I mean, things change, right? It just is what it is.
Yep, it's
But
an inevitability.
definitely for me, it's not the place that I lived before, and it's not the place that I would want to live. You know what I mean? It's a different world.
Absolutely. An interesting observation or note that I know that, I mean, I personally, as a 44-year-old myself, and like you said, you're in your early 40s, you're wrestling with the idea of being like, oh yes, I'm that weirdo 40-year-old at a show, which obviously is much more normal than it was like maybe when you and I first started to go to shows, where it's like, who's this super old grandpa at the back of the room or whatever. So now that like that, you are maybe not wrestling, but just like that notion of being like, I am obviously the old head in the room. But that's obviously not stopping you, not only from creating, but then clearly like, going to shows, participating in whatever level you are. How does that reflect on you now as you are, I said, the old head in the room?
I don't go to that many shows, but you know what? I've been thinking about this recently, and I think the mentality of there's two different pipelines, and there's music, and then there's the scene, and they definitely can cross. But I think for me, the whole scene aspect, that's the one where a 40-year-old at a show could maybe could have been strange when you and I were younger. Because definitely at the point when you and I were younger, like minor threat people and black flag people weren't even 40 yet. So, it would have been unheard of for someone who was 40 to be at a show when I first started. But now I think it's way more common. Like the shows Staticlone has played, I've seen people that I've known since when I first started going to shows. They're not there just because I'm playing. They're there because they're there. And I think that there's two different pipelines. And for me, I fall more on the music pipeline. And I think that has no aid. There's nothing that could make me feel weird about writing a song, whether I'm 20 or 60, Now the scene aspect, I guess it could be. No, I think somehow it's more acceptable for older people to be at shows, but it's also a younger mentality is so much more present. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't feel weird. I don't feel weird or not weird. I don't really go to that many shows, but that's my personality as just a person. I wouldn't be in situations where I'm at stuff with like a lot of people or anything like that. Like the Eagles have a chance to win the Super Bowl. I've been a fan since I was a kid. I will not be at a parade if they win. That doesn't mean I like them any less. I'm not a parade person.
George, you don't say. It seems like you're a parade person.
I don't know if anybody out there, if this is going to surprise them, but I'm not really a parade person.
Yeah, you're like, I'm not going to be on the float. I'm not going to be greasing the poles. It's fine. Yeah.
No, definitely sure not. No. I won't even watch it. I won't even watch that part happen on television because it's embarrassing.
Right. Yeah, you're like, I don't identify with that at all. Sorry, Philly.
Oh, 100%. No, don't identify with it.
Yeah. In documenting your own music, because like you said, I mean, you've had a lot of different experiences, recording with Will Yip, recording yourself, recording in different circumstances. Do you obviously feel comfortable recording yourself, but you clearly like to have other input. Do you obviously enjoy the recording process, but like, what does it enjoy about it? Is it just like the simple act of, or is it obviously like hearing the things come together, or it could obviously be all of it?
The recording process. Yeah, I'll say this. This doesn't answer your question, but you know what? I've never had a bad experience recording. I've recorded with Triple Lou, incredible. I would go record with him right now. I've recorded with Wyatt Oberholzer, who did the Staticlone stuff. I would record with him right now. Will Yip, same thing. Jim Siegel at the Outpost, another guy, same thing. I've never and other stuff as well I've done with people. And you write songs to record them. And I am a musician, and, you know, imagine if you told me that you were like, yeah, I never do it on a canvas though. I just do it in my mind or something.
Right, right. Well, it's cool that you've had such a wide range of experiences with people, and they've all been, good,
Hold on, you
valuable,
cut out your
whatever.
voice. Hold on, I couldn't hear what you said. Say it again. Sorry.
No, it's fine. I was saying it's good that you have a wide range of experiences recording with different people, and you've had a good experience with all of them, because usually recording, especially vocals, it can be a really weird process.
Yeah, and so many people I know have that, and I don't like. Definitely, there was awkwardness in all. Anytime I have to record vocals, it's awkward. But I've never, like I said, there's no engineer that I've recorded with that I would not go back. And to be honest, like I'm good friends with Will Yip, and he's local to our area, so obviously I record with him. When Wyatt lived in Philadelphia, we recorded with him, and you know, but like I said, I would go record with Kurt tomorrow if the opportunity presented itself. Because also when
Yeah.
you let an engineer in, it's like you're letting another person in the band, and I really appreciate those people for what they do outside of recording. Whether it's make their music and stuff like that, and I like their records and et cetera, et cetera.
Our friends at Rockabilia are incredible for a multitude of reasons. One, the fact they give us our dedicated promo code for you to save 10% off of your entire order. 100 words or less, that is the promo code. Type it in there, get that discount. But on top of it, they always have cool stuff rolling out all the time from bands of every genre you can imagine. Like, just check out this lineup. It's like, okay, yes, they got the Beatles, which is already sick. Black Sabbath, Wu-Tang Clan, Grateful Dead, Disturbed, Guns N' Roses, Bring Me the Horizon. They are a amazing website for all of those reasons. But on top of all of that is the fact that they ship to you from the Midwest here in the United States of America. And here's the kicker. It's all officially licensed. That means the bands get paid. Everybody wins in this scenario, including you, because you get rad band merch that you can wear to school if you're allowed to. I wasn't allowed to at school, but I still snuck it by. Like, one of my favorite memories is wearing a striped shirt that had, live photo on the back. Clearly it's a band shirt. And I was able to talk my way out of it with my English teacher saying, oh yeah, this is just like a lifestyle clothing brand or whatever. And whether my English teacher was just nice and be like, I don't want to bother with this kid. Yeah, it's still a favorite memory of mine. Regardless, rockabilia.com is the place where you can buy a bunch of stuff that you can, like I said, hopefully wear to school or maybe wear to other inappropriate places. Wherever you decide to. That's not me. I'm not here to give you ideas. But go to rockabilia.com. We love them. They love us. They love you. So buy now.
Speaking specifically of Staticlone, you can't help but hear the Japanese hardcore influence that is written all over it. How I know, I mean, that's a scene that is very respected and revered amongst certain people. But it doesn't always reveal itself to a lot of hardcore kids. Like, you have to do some pretty deep digging to be like, Nightmare, Bastard. Like, what made you want to pen this love letter to that scene?
Oh man. I don't know how I first started hearing that stuff. I mean, I probably saw something about gauze in a fanzine and was like, what the hell is this? The thing that really hit me as far as Japanese stuff goes are the Judgment 7-inches. Probably Crow, somewhere along the line, Crow, a Bastard too. But I so I one thing is Jack's drumming is so suited for that style. And I always wanted to, when Staticlone started, I wanted to push in that direction, but so it made sense to like lock in with him because that's the style that he is, and I've said this before, but like I come from like New York hardcore or like straight edge hardcore. Like, so Japanese stuff, I didn't find out about that stuff until it's not like Chain of Strength I heard when I was, 12 or 13 years old, Agnostic Front, saying Japanese stuff I didn't hear till I was in my 20s. My musical upbringing was already established. And at that point it was just like, okay, this is what I like, and people, introduced. Whereas someone like Jeff, he comes from more punk and a lot of that stuff is more prevalent in those worlds. So yeah, I wanted to write stuff like that. Like I said, the Judgment 7-inches are big for me. There's a band called Ghoul that has a 7-inch flexi called Jerusalem that was really big. And then when I first started writing the songs, it was just kind of when I first started putting songs together, it wasn't as much. And then as we started learning how to play with each other, that was when it more developed and stuff. And a big part of that was Jeff, for sure.
Yeah, it's cool that the description of what you're talking about, where it's like, I do think that, most hardcore and punk kids kind of start the same way, where it's like, of course, you get the basics and then you go to the next level and next level. And truthfully, I think if whatever you or I heard, Bastard when we were 12, we would have just been like, what understand this? This is scary. Like, I need to listen to Youth of Today or something simpler.
I think I would have liked it because I like the Cro-Mags, and to me, that Bastard is like kind of just the Japanese Cro-Mags, But
yeah, it's true.
yeah, I was just in the. I'm like a child of Floor Punch, so whatever those guys were listening to or what they were saying is what I would listen to. And that's how I found out about Straight Ahead or Occupied Territory or like some weird New York hardcore demo. Like I'm a child of Floor Punch.
Yep. That's okay. That's okay. There's worse children that you could be with. That's for sure.
I think I'm the first person to coin that term.
Yes.
I hope people take it on.
Absolutely. Like you just start to make yourself a child of whatever it is, where it's like, yes, I'm a child of strife or whatever. It's like, here we go.
Yeah. And you know what? Because I didn't come out of the womb listening. Victim in Pain is my favorite hardcore record of all time, but I didn't come out of the womb listening to that. I definitely heard Floor Punch before that, and then Floor Punch was that's where I could push the threads out, and someone like Jeff, that's most likely not his story, and and Dave, similar, but for me, that is my story,
Yeah,
and not
absolutely.
to say that they don't love Floor Punch or I don't know how Dave played some shows in Floor Punch, so Dave loves them.
Of course, yeah.
And
Dave didn't,
and honestly, I don't trust anybody that doesn't.
yes. I mean, if you've never messed with Division I champs, like, what are you even doing with your life? I'm interested in the reissues that you did of, the Blacklisted stuff, as far as like, remixing, mastering, all that sort of stuff. Kind of along the lines of like, I know you don't look back because you're just thinking about the mistakes and how you could change certain things or what have you. What was, I guess, appealing for you about, approaching it like, new artwork, all that sort of stuff? Or was this just basically like Trey being like, hey, George, you want to do this? And you're like, oh, it doesn't sound too bad. Sure.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Okay.
I know this. I know
yeah.
that stuff. And I'm not saying that in a disrespectful way. Like, I'm sure that I was asked by like Dave or something. You know what I mean? Not that I don't have a relationship with the people at Death Wish. I do. It's just, that's not like, those records are done to me. And if they come back out because people are interested in hearing them, I'm all for it. But I don't really like make decisions as far as like, I never listened to an updated version or remix version. I know it happened, but I'm just saying I don't know much about it. I know when the split 7-inch we did, when they put that out, we put it out with just our songs as a 7-inch. I checked it out and I like contacted the original people in Blacklisted who were on it and like talked about it. Yeah, I don't mean that in a negative way. It's just I don't really like process music that way. Like, it's just those records are out, and if they need to get remastered and that's what people want to do, that's cool. But I just want people to hear them, as many people as possible. Same with the early stages of Staticlone, when they ask what my ideas are for as many people to hear it as possible. I don't care. I just want it to connect with people, and then that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No. And honestly, if you had a different response, I would kind of be surprised, because like it just didn't strike me as something that you're like, okay, here is it, born from my brain. I want to, celebrate the 15th anniversary of this thing. It just doesn't strike me as something that would like come out of you.
Yeah, no, I know when the anniversaries happen, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. To be honest,
Yeah,
I would, anything Death Wish hit me up about, I would be down to do,
of course. Yeah. You trust them.
I would, yeah, I just probably not many people that in the music industry that I trust more. So for me, and I think a lot of that stuff, I think there's a lot of stuff Dave doesn't even ask me because he knows I'm down, but I don't want to,
Be involved. Sure.
whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think when No One got reissued, I got asked to do a couple of interviews about it, and I just said no. Like it's whatever.
It's
But
good.
I'm a person that's very aware of my personality. So if I'm feeling like negatively, I know probably not best for me to talk about this right now because I don't want to be locked in. I've done it before where I've done interviews and I probably said stuff that because I was feeling like a temporary feeling and I was making it reflect on my whole being, but it was really just a fleeting thing. And I had trouble differentiating and probably said some stuff that people took the wrong way as far as how I feel about Blacklisted, but
Yeah. Yeah. Well, at least, but it was right. And at least you had the experience to be like, oh, okay, I'm not going to do this because I know that this is not going to like help the thing or help me. So I'm not going to do it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, definitely. And I never want to say something that makes people think this is, and I've done it. So I'm not saying I've never done it. I've done it a lot of times where I say stuff that could maybe affect people's listening or processing to it. And I don't want to do that. My gripes are my gripes. You know what I mean? I was there and made it, and I know things that I would do different or things I would advocate for on my behalf to do different. And if I did, it would have made the record better, in my opinion. But now it's been X amount of years. That record is that like if they went back and fixed any mistakes in Age of Quarrel, I don't want to hear that. You know what I mean? Because I already have my connection with that LP, and so
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I also want to dig into the shows that you did, in Philly with Unbroken, obviously raising money for the knife and everything like that. It struck. I wasn't able to go myself, but it struck me just as an observer, like they were very, special, thoughtful. Not only was it important that you guys obviously did what you did for Year of the Knife, but then playing with Unbroken. Um, is it one of those things where it's just like when the idea strikes you guys where it's just like, oh yeah, that seems cool, like we can just go ahead and do that and make it our special, whatever that may be. The question in there is just the how did that kind of come about? Was it just like you feeling, you guys collectively feeling compelled to help out?
so I don't think the shows weren't for that. We sold merch for it, like we made
That's right.
shirts
That's right.
for it and
Yep.
etc. But the shows were just two shows, or the shows where Unbroken was going to play Philadelphia, and we don't get asked that much to play, but we do get asked sometimes, and it's almost always no. And it was hard. It's funny because it came after, like, I made a tweet from the Blacklisted account, which is funny because I never use social media, where I said, uh, the Unbroken LP is Madball set it off for depressed people or something like that. So that,
Right.
which is 100% true. And, obviously it got back to Rob Moran from Unbroken, and it made its rounds. And I think he just reached out to Dave and was like, "Would you do it?" And he talked about it, and I said I would. I think the people in Blacklisted would play any show. It really is me, the holdout, but it's me. It's me because not for like a pedantic reason. It's because it only makes sense if we are making music. I don't want to just play shows where we play whatever. And we did make a mistake. We after that we said we were going to play a show in California. It was all this stuff was implemented, and the show fell through, and it was like disheartening because we were practicing and everything, and we were doing it like a goodwill gesture from our own thing, and it kind of like it didn't work out, and it sucks because we practiced for it. It would have been really crazy, and it just didn't happen. But as far as Unbroken goes, I mean, if anybody else asked us, we probably would have said no. It was because it was Unbroken, and I think a lot of people link our bands in a way that I think we've reached the same kind of people, and it just made sense. You know?
Yeah, no, I love that. I mean, and I agree. It's like when that came out, it was just like, oh yeah, like of course.
Yeah.
Why would they
And we
not
would,
do that?
yeah, and we would play with Unbroken again. Blacklisted would
Yeah.
play with Unbroken. Blacklisted would play a show if it made sense, but something like that it would be hard to say no. I think it makes sense. I think there's not many things like that do make sense. So
Yeah,
yeah,
totally.
it was cool. It was weird. It was definitely weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saddle for you, like just being like, all right, I'm in the right headspace to do these songs, I guess.
Nah, I don't think like that. Yeah, it was weird. I mean, I haven't been at a show and like a hardcore show. I think before that it had been years, and the last one I was at was like Infest and Los Crudos when I lived in Chicago. Like it was a totally different environment than what we played, and it was in a venue that I had been going to since I was a child in Philadelphia, and yeah, there was a lot of weird moving parts that kind of made it more than just in a band and I play shows. Or I'm playing a show. It was weird. Yeah, it was definitely a strange thing.
Yeah, for sure. Last couple things I want to hit on was the follow me along here. There's a person that I in my own head compare you to, of like similar, whether it's disposition but also similar sort of expression towards the world. Chris Callahan from Left 4 Dead, Cursed, all that sort of stuff. Like he has sonically, like you guys are obviously doing two separate things, but he is thoughtful in regards to being a writer, and like he definitely also kind of has the same sort of credo in regards to music creation as you do. But then there's also that the idea of, hey, I know you've published some stuff in Wes's Cold Cave stuff as far as Heartworm, but doesn't seem to be an overwhelming desire to be like, all right, I'm going to put out a book. I'm going to do like this, personal zine or whatever. And Chris Callahan is very much the same approach. Anyways, the only reason I'm comparing you to is because of that sort of writer's first mentality of music. But for you yourself, have you ever, do you ever have a desire to be like, yes, I'm actually going to put out a, collection of writings or whatever? It's like, or nope, just lyrically, this is how I'm comfortable.
No, I would do it. I don't. If the offer came to me, I don't think I would do what Wes did and like make a ground up publishing company. I think it's amazing that he did that. You know what I mean? And good for him. But I just wouldn't do that. But because how do I say this? If I was to put out something writing wise, which I could do, and I would want someone else to do it, and I think maybe that's because it would lend it more credibility than if I just did it. And then because here's the thing, like say when I record myself, right, at my house and I play all the instruments and I put it out, I'm really only putting that out for people that know me through Blacklisted and they buy it. So it's a small circle of people. As far as like writing, like if someone else showed that not that it had value, but just they were interested, then I'd be interested. But to put it out myself, it would feel, I'm like, okay, I'm hitting this small community of people that know me from Blacklisted. It's almost like I'm taking advantage of the community. You know what I mean? Or I don't really know how to word it. I don't think it's just
No,
if the opportunity.
I see what you're saying.
Like, because I'm not, this is how I word it. I'm not trying to push myself as an artist. You know what I'm saying? Like if someone else sees value in it and they want to do it, I write on my own time. I don't, I don't need to be, I don't need to be a writer. You know what I mean? That's the first thing I was before I played music. You know what I mean? That's been since I was a kid that I, you know, got awards for that in school and stuff like that. I don't, Yeah, if someone else was interested, I would do it. So if anybody's listening and they're interested, contact me. I would do it. I just wouldn't do it myself. Yeah, I'm not trying to like pimp
I
myself
totally
out
understand.
there.
Yep.
Yeah, it feels weird. It feels weird when you go see a band and
And
go ahead.
yeah.
It feels weird when you go see a band and they have like all this like merch that has nothing to do with like the band. It's like, oh, the singer has a poetry book and it's cool DIY. I get that, but it's also like, eh, um, not for me.
You clearly are, still creating slash hardcore music. And I'm sure watching the growth of hardcore now in the year of our Lord 2025 is probably a pretty interesting thing for you to be like, wow, like hardcore is the biggest thing it's ever been in my entire life. And I know like I'm not trying to give you a space to like, talk crap or whatever, but like what are some observations of being like, wow, this is just like what I'm kind of like seeing in regards to the scene, proverbially speaking, or are you, like you said, that music scene lane, you're like, I'm not even paying attention to that. I just care about the music.
No, I'll speak on it. I don't care. I think that people that make hardcore now aren't into hardcore. They're not it like hardcore is hardcore. The music part of what hardcore is the last thought of a band that plays hardcore. Now there's other elements that are at play and it could be my age, it could be all kinds of things. It is what it is. But as far as hardcore goes, it's not a lot of it isn't hardcore in the music parameters. Now, if they want to take the idea of the scene and hardcore and punk are so much bigger than just a music style, that's fine. I'm not disputing that, but I'm saying sonically, it's not hardcore or punk. It's alternatives. It's death metal. And I'd say that from someone who played a pretty big role in introducing the alternative side to hardcore, as far as like when people would just say we were a shitty grunge band or something like that. I don't. Yeah, I mean, it's fine. I like a lot of bands. I don't. It is what it is. But as far as like the parameters of punk and hardcore, it's not. It doesn't fit that sonically, mentality wise. Maybe I don't. I'm not here to talk about what people's processes behind why they make something. Just is what it is. I mean, yeah, there's more stuff at people's fingertips, and that's fine. But it's also not hardcore or punk or whatever. It might fit into the scene because people need shows to play, and that's where they fit. But it's not sonically And I'm not here to dictate what that means as far as I'll leave that for someone that is was there in the beginning. But it just isn't what I think of as personally as hardcore or punk. And I have thought that for a long time. And I've participated in it for a long time where I felt like my own music wasn't that. And I still played hardcore. It's not, I don't mean it in a negative way, but when
Mm-hmm.
I hear things, now I'm like, I can see from a mile away a band that, yeah, you play in hardcore not because it accepts you, but you're trying to get something else. And that's fine too. I mean, everybody should, if your goal is to be a band that tours 10 months of the year and you want to be big and you want to say you're hardcore, man, I don't care. That's you. You go do that then, it's cool, but a
Yeah.
lot of stuff isn't hardcore. A lot of stuff is shitty, really poorly made death metal, to be honest. But, but
Yep. It's
you
very,
know,
very true. Yeah. Right. It's
yeah.
like, that's your thing.
Yeah, I love death metal. So for me, if I find something good in it, that's dope. Like I'll listen to it, whatever. But yeah, I think hardcore. I think always say this, and maybe this is like a really pessimistic view, but like I think you and I, our age bracket, lived through an era where we saw punk be removed from hardcore, and now we're witnessing hardcore be removed from hardcore. And I say that only from a sonic perspective. I'm not here to
Totally.
build reasoning. I'm just saying sonically. And
Yeah.
I think now we're at the age where hardcore is erased from hardcore, and that's hey man,
Yeah. Right.
that's fine.
That's not, that's not for us to do.
No, no, no. And you know what? For all I know, there could be a 15-year-old kids in their basement listening to Agnostic Sun and writing, United Blood. And I fucking hope that they are.
That was awesome. Man, George is he, I don't know how to describe him besides he is like the tried and true artist. Like he knows that he is going to be making music regardless of whatever's happening in his life. Like music will come out. He will have to go record it. He will have to put it out in some capacity. He'll just have to repeat that cycle until, he's no longer on the planet, which I know this sounds morbid, but, I think because of that clarity of vision that he has for just wanting to create, it makes the conversations that you can have with a person like that so engaging, because it's just like, oh yeah, I'm whatever. I'm here to make music, and that's what I want to do. So thank you very much, George, for coming on again. And thank you very much for his press person, Stephanie Marlowe, who is one of my favorite human beings on the planet. So shout out to both of them. Next week, I have another Philadelphia band, but this is a newer band. Matt Carl, the vocalist from Gridiron. And if you have not been paying attention to like every single fest over the past 2 years, Gridiron is a awesome, just, I don't want to say ignorant hardcore bands, because, they are not. They're definitely having fun. It is a, football inspired / sports inspired band. And they're great. They got grooves for days. And Matt and I met last year at the Outbreak Festival. I interviewed him for that podcast, and I was like, this guy's fun. He's a great hang. And so I invited him on this show because I wanted to expand the conversation and know a little bit more about him. So that's what's happening next week on the show. So until then, please be safe, everybody.